Thank you, Sean. Thank you for everyone at Icon Coaching.
Simon, congratulations, man. You know what that is?
That's winning.
It's winning, baby. I love it when you're winning. That's fantastic.
I got 2 under contract, so that's like 2.8 million in 2 weeks.
You've got to take control of your production to make sure that you're making more money, your bank account balance is rising, that your net worth is increasing, and that's what we want to see happen.
So that they can save the listing.
Which I'm really, really thankful for, Sean. Thank you.
See everyone coming on board. Welcome to Icon Coaching's webinar.
Hello and welcome everyone to our weekly webinar here at Icon Coaching. Guys, you made a very smart decision to be here and to stay here the entire time, because you're going to learn from a gentleman who is just, guys, to say he's crushing it is an understatement. Sir, he'll close 700 transactions this year. Okay. And in addition to that, he's going to net, and forgive me, Chris, I just think they need to know this, to give them a reason to maybe want to listen to what you have to say. Guys, he's going to net over 2 million on the creative side of the fence here. And that's what he's going to talk to you about today. He's just going to add value to you by increasing your knowledge and skills around the creative side of real estate sales, to where you can generate multiple listing opportunities from even one person in your market. He's going to show you exactly how to do that. Plus, he's going to show you how to structure deals, how to finance deals, just how to net as much as you can out of each and every transaction that you close. So without any further delay, Chris Craddock, welcome to our webinar, man.
Well, thanks for having me, brother. I'm excited to be here and yeah, excited to share my journey with everybody.
Right on, Chris. I'm going to stop my share. I had that quote up there from Icon Coaching, guys. Dream believer or dream buyer, you get to choose. Now, what do you suppose I mean by that? Dream believer or dream buyer, it's your choice, right? Well, let me tell you, dream believers are always in abundance. Everybody you know, they have a dream. Yet dream buyers, guys, they are very, very rare. Every dream that you have, every dream I have, guys, it comes with a price tag. Have you actually sat down? Have you analyzed the price for you to obtain your dream? What is that price tag? And then ask yourself the question, am I willing to pay that price to obtain the dream? I think you showed up today because you are willing to pay that price. No doubt about that. So again, Chris Craddock is here. Guys, he's a wealth of knowledge. You have an opportunity to type into the chat any questions that you might have. In fact, let's practice that right now. Why don't you type in the chat real quick, just to make sure you know how to use this. Where are you located? I want to know, where are you at in the world? Who all do we have in this webinar today? Here we go. We got Orlando, Palm Beach. Wow. Arizona, Vegas, fantastic. San Diego, one of my favorite places.
My Virginia people. Where was that?
Come on, Virginia people. Los Angeles. And thanks for the shout out. That was nice. San Francisco Bay Area, fantastic. Average sales price probably around 2 million. That doesn't suck, right, guys?
Oh, Barry Albright. What's up?
Right on. I do want to pull something else up just real quick. And I want to share my screen because I see a lot of you are located in the state of Texas and or Florida. And gang, we've got Sales Surge, which is live training coming to the state of Texas, the state of Florida. We're hitting San Antonio, Austin, Dallas, and Houston in Texas. We're doing this in August. Then we're hitting all the locations in Florida as well. And that's coming up in September. So we're hitting Jacksonville, Orlando, Tampa, and Miami. I'll go ahead and share that slide here in just a moment. Yet I don't want to take any more time away from Chris. Guys, lean in with me. Pay attention, because you're going to pick up so many ideas today. It's not about getting the knowledge. It's really about implementation, though, at the end of the day. So, Chris, let's kind of rewind the tape, because you certainly didn't start selling real estate at 700 transactions a year. What happened when you first started? What was that evolution to your growth? Just kind of give us that backstory.
Well, see, I've always been somebody that, like anybody on here is a learner, right? Like I've always been a learner. It's something, although, I didn't love school, but I love to learn about the things I cared about, right? And, but the interesting thing was, I loved listening to podcasts. Like this is the stuff that I love to take in. And so I got into real estate, and I tried calling like, expireds and FSBOs and everything else. And honestly, it was about as fun as punching myself in the throat. Like it was not what I wanted to do at all, but I was willing to do it because, I was just like, I'm going to do what it takes to be successful. And, I found that I was able to call my SOI and do very well with my SOI. And as I was building my team, the crazy thing was like, man, my team would be successful, and then we'd have really bad months, and then people would be successful, and then they'd move on, and then they, like it was just this like roller coaster. And I kept believing, man, there's got to be some way. It was almost like the old, like all the diet fads. I tried all the diet fads at one point, and I kept trying like, okay, expireds, okay, FSBOs, okay, I'm gonna hire an overseas VA oh my gosh, I only have to pay them $6 an hour, and they're gonna set appointments for me. This is amazing. Well, I overpaid at $6 an hour because it was terrible, and so I just was trying all these things, and what I didn't realize was like I just couldn't find that repeatable thing. And I tried all these different systems, and it wasn't working. And then I mean, brother, I still remember this one year, like I was working so hard. We'd gotten our team up to about 40 million in volume early in my career. And I was like, okay, this is great. This is awesome. We're crushing it. Next year, we're going to do 80 million in volume, right? We're going to double it. And I worked so hard, brother. I was working mornings. I was listening to podcasts. I was doing everything. Well, the thing was like, I knew I wasn't on target, but I also knew that like at the time, I didn't know any of my numbers at all. Like I had no idea what my numbers were. I just knew whether I was making money or not. And at the end of the year, I was like, oh man, I don't feel like we were quite there, but I think we did well. And then I got our numbers from, at the time I was at Keller Williams. I got the numbers, what we did that year. And I was like, oh man, 80, the goal was 80 million. And what did we do? I worked so hard, everything. And we did 43 million, right? Like I was distraught. I was like, I don't have more time in the day. I don't know how to do anything else. I literally am doing everything I can. And, and I kept thinking there's got to be a way, got to be a better way. And I still remember I was driving into my office in Reston one morning, listening to a podcast, and this guy talked about being stuck, being like at this place where you just can't break through. And I'm like, oh man, like preach, brother, you're speaking my language. And he said, hey, here's what needs to happen. If you want to break through, you've got to go from finding one relationship that will bring you one deal. Like your SOI will bring you one deal. Maybe you get a couple deals in a year or whatever, a couple referrals, but you need to find one relationship that'll bring you 5 deals, that'll bring you 10 deals, that'll bring you 50 deals. That's how you get exponential. And so like, I thought about that and I was like, okay, that makes sense to me, because like I'm working really hard and getting a 1-to-1 return instead of a 1-to-20 return. And I thought, okay, who are the people in my market where I can get bigger than a 1-to-1 return? And I thought, okay, builders have a lot of options there. I flipped houses when I was, younger. And so, I only did a couple for a short period of time. I was in ministry and making no money, and it allowed me to survive. And so I was like, okay, well, I kind of know that world. So maybe I look at like house flippers, right? Like that are doing it at a bigger level, because what are they doing with their old leads, right? Like, what are they doing with that? Like if they can't flip it, or if they can't wholesale it or do any of the creative stuff, like what do they do? And I found out that most of them just leave them dead in their database, right? They just sit there because it's worthless to them, but listings are worth something to us. And so then I started making relationships with some of these folks. And the crazy thing was I was able to create repeatable, systematic business that wasn't like calling an expired that 40 other real estate agents are calling that same morning. It's a whole new area where nobody else, like no other agents were in that area. And or not many of them were, at least, because they weren't having, it just was different, right? And all of a sudden, that next year, we went from 43 million to 60 million to 80 million to 125 million to 200 million to last year we did 300. Like we just had exponential growth because one relationship created multiple closings every month. And that was how it just, exponentially exploded. And that's the crazy thing is like, I talked to so many of my friends that are at that place, and you may be listening and not be at that place right now, but I talked to so many people that are like, man, I want that sustainable, repeatable business where I know where my next closing is going to come from. I know what's going to happen next. And man, it's just awesome because the leads are coming in all the time, and it's trash for these other folks, but it's something that's golden for us. And not only is it golden for us because we get listings, but we get buy calls, and we can go into that more as we get into this. But it's changed my life. I mean, legitimately in 2010, I was still in ministry. I was trying to sell my blood for $300 to buy Christmas presents for my family to NIH. And, I wake up in the mornings and I'm like, holy crap, I get to live a life that I can't even believe I get to live. And a lot, I mean, I definitely thank the Lord for giving me this opportunity, but also the pathway here to sustainable, repeatable business has been just life-changing, and not just for me, but for my family, and also just the legacy that it's going to build for generations to come after that. And I know we're going to get into more of that here in the rest of the hour.
Oh, we're going to get into a lot more of that, Chris. There's no doubt about that. Now, I've encouraged Chris to develop a training program teaching people specifically exactly what he does and how he does it, guys. And with your permission, gang, I'm gonna outline that program at the end of our call today. All right. So, Chris, let me be clear though. You said, one relationship brings you 20 deals, 30 deals, 50 deals. And I want to be crystal clear here, guys. Wholesalers are out there in the market, and they're getting access to the notice of default list. They're door knocking. They're sending out direct mail. They're calling people, texting realtors. I'm sure that many of you receive texts on a weekly basis that you probably try to block that number or just delete the text. You just don't. Why are you bothering me, right? Yet, what Chris is suggesting is that these wholesalers, even though they identify people who are desperate for cash, they need a cash offer. Sure, they take the time, they submit either a letter of intent or a buy-sell agreement. What happens if that offer's rejected? What do you suppose that wholesaler does with it? Well, Chris is here to tell you that they don't do a damn thing with it. And so getting them to refer you the business, and of course you're going to pay them to refer the business to you. Chris, just guess for me, since you started working smarter instead of working harder, I mean, that was the classic description of working harder instead of smarter. At 40 million in sales, I'm Mary, we're going to double that, and you end up jumping up by like 5 million, yet you worked 10 times as hard. That's just a classic story, and it happens to all of us without the right strategy. We reach this natural ceiling of achievement. Yet, Chris, let's dive deeper into that aspect of your lead generation strategy. Identifying investors, wholesalers that are putting cash offers out there that are rejected. How do you earn that business from them?
Yeah. So one, you got to understand who they are. So a lot of the smaller wholesalers, it's interesting because real estate agents are so much less likely to spend money on fixed costs. And what I mean by that is swipe their card on lead gen opportunities and options. And that's, I'll share with you a lot of our lead gen companies, like how we get leads to come in ourselves. But most agents are willing to pay a lot in variable costs, meaning pay a big referral fee on the end. But it's almost the opposite with wholesalers, right? Like especially newer wholesalers. I mean, a lot of my friends do a lot of coaching in the wholesaling space, in the fix and flip space, and they see that these people, a lot of times they're willing to just swipe their card for 20 grand, max out all their cards to get seller leads. And just, they're like, oh my gosh, if I spend $25,000 on seller leads this month, I'm going to be driving a Lambo next month. Right. And we know that it doesn't really happen, but that's the mindset of the smaller fish in that space. But here's the crazy thing. If somebody does not, close on a deal, it just sits dead in their database, right? And then there's these bigger organizations, and I partnered with one of the bigger ones, with actually now with a number of the bigger ones, but like they'll spend hundreds of thousands of dollars every month in a We Buy Houses campaign, right? You'll see the signs, you see them on the radio, you hear them on the radio, see them on TV, all the other stuff. And if they can't buy a house for 65 cents on the dollar, it's essentially trash to them, right? Because they oftentimes stay in their lane, or they've tried all the other stuff. And I'll share how my first relationship came about here in a minute. But what the way we need to look at this, which is really interesting when we're approaching them, is it came from a story that I heard Tony Robbins share, where he was talking about millers, right? Like, or people that they mill wood, right? But the margins were so skinny on that. Well, somebody got an idea. They're like, okay, we've got all this trash, the sawdust that is stuck in here. What if we could monetize this trash? And all of a sudden they got an idea of creating candles with it. They created like particle board with it. They created all these other uses of their trash. And that turned their trash into cash, like legitimately. And that's what we can do with these wholesalers, with these fix and flippers. And it's so interesting because one of the groups that we work with, I mean, we've legitimately sent them 50, 60, like almost $70,000 in referral fees in like a single month for stuff that was sitting dead in their database. And so this is an opportunity that we have because they don't care about the listings. That's not what they want. They're looking for the flips, the wholesales, the novations, the creative type stuff that they can do. And the stuff that's listings are just not exciting to them. It's not sexy to them. It's not what their business is all about. And so when you can understand how to think about how they think, then you can solve a problem for them. And I always say, like, and this is when you're talking to sellers or when you're talking to anybody, right? Like the people that make the most money are the ones that solve the most problems, right? If you've got a headache, it's bad for you. It's great for Tylenol. And so it's, this is what we get to do for some of these wholesalers. We get to help them with their margin and legitimately can send them referral fees that will that will pay for all of their marketing, so that what they make, they get to keep in profit. And then you also get a massive amount of listings as well. Now we can go further into like the creative stuff for us, but I just want to make sure that you understand there is a real option here that can build a business. And I hope that you see really quickly that this can work. Now you got to obviously approach it correctly or it won't work, because all of them have been like, oh, I've tried it. I've sent this to my buddy who's a realtor. He's a termite inspector and he's a realtor, and I sent him like 50 leads and he didn't get anything with it, but like, so there's a way to approach them, but we can get into that in a little bit.
Yes, I love it. So we're going to get into the structure of wholesale deals, novation deals, and any other types of deals that you're doing, Chris. Yet I want to stay on this one subject just for a second. And I want you to digress. I want you to share the story that you shared with me during one of our very first coaching sessions together. It was about you being so tenacious with your follow-up with an investor group, and they ultimately gave you some leads. Share that story, because I think it really points them in the direction that you and I want them to go in terms of the actions they can take. Go for it.
Yeah, so this is the first thing. Anytime you're approaching one of these folks, do some Facebook stalking, do some stalking, get a warm referral, right? Like, I'm at a point now where I'm friends with enough people in this space that I know somebody that knows somebody, right? And so find somebody that knows somebody that can make an intro for you, because if you call them cold, like, it's just not worth their time. I promise you, the big ones have tried it, and the small ones, they're going to be skeptical, right? So if you can get a referral to them, it really works. Well, what happened was the big group that now I'm like, he's literally one of my best friends, who's one of the owners of like this first group that I worked with, but he had one of the biggest groups out there, somebody I knew somebody in my brokerage who was friends with his wife, and I got a connection. And what he said to me, he's like, look, I believe in what you're saying, but we've given 1,000 leads to one of the top Keller Williams agents in the country, and they've only closed 6 deals in the last 6 months. And so it's just not worth our time. But I knew that something was there, and I've got my list of life principles, and one of them is persistence breaks resistance, right? And so I was just like, do not give up on this. Like, just keep going, keep going, keep going. So I just kept calling over there. I'd show up at their office and bring donuts. I just was like around, right? And so eventually there was a guy named Tom who was their COO at the time, and a guy named Matt who was their lead acquisitions guy at the time. And I just kept talking to both of them. And then eventually they're like, hey, look, we're going to send you 150 leads, see what you can make of it. And this was after me like following up, right? And so it's like, okay, cool. And so I called, and like 70 of them were already sold. 30 of them were out of area. So I mean, I don't know what the math is on it, but I had just a handful of them left. But my mind was, okay, well, they gave 1,000 leads and she closed 6. I got to get 6 with what they gave me. And so, I mean, I turned on every bit of salesmanship that I can. And this is the stuff, and I'll share some of the scripts and some of the stuff. We definitely shall make sure we get into the scripting on why we were able to get this before we finish here today. But, I just turned on like the best salesmanship I've ever had. Like, I felt like I could sell ketchup popsicles to women in white gloves. Like, I was like on it. And so we ended up getting 6 under contract. And I called them and I said, hey, we've got 6 under contract. Can you send me a W-9 so I can send you the referral fee? And Tom was like, Matt, come in here. And he put it on speakerphone. He's like, hey, Chris just got 6 of the leads we sent him under contract. And they both started laughing, and they're like, dude, we liked you, so we didn't want to tell you to F off, but you just kept calling and like wouldn't leave us alone. So I told him to send you 150 leads that were 5 years old or older so that you could hit a brick wall and leave us alone. And he's like, and you closed 6? He's like, all right, come in, let's have lunch, let's figure this out. And then that was the start of the relationship there. But here was the crazy thing was, I wasn't speaking to these leads. Like, I started off and I hit a brick wall. But once I started speaking to these leads, the way, if you understand the psychology and the scripting, that there's only 6 types of distressed leads. And it's like Scooby-Doo, right? They'll give you all of these different stories, but then they'll rip the mask off and it's always the same, right? It's always like 6. Once I realized that they wanted to be spoken to they wanted a cash offer because they wanted certainty and convenience. And if you can give them that, then they're willing to work with you, right? Like immediately. But the second I like pull out a listing, show them my listing presentation like an agent, they're like, I don't want to talk to you. I wanted a cash offer. And the best way for me to explain that is if you go to, let's say, I traded in my truck right before the new year, and for tax reasons, I traded that in and I got a new one. And I brought it to CarMax, and I knew I could make more money if I sold it on Craigslist, right? I make, whatever, a lot, like $5,000-$8,000 more probably if I sold it on Craigslist. But I just wanted to be done. Like I wanted certainty. I wanted convenience. I wanted to be done. And so if you were to talk to these people like a real estate agent with a listing presentation, like immediately they're like, it's like if I went into CarMax with my like I had a Ford Raptor, and I went in and said, hey, how much for my Raptor? And they said, well, we can't give you a cash offer for your Raptor, but what we can do is make you more money by listing it on cars.com and Auto Trader, and I'll let you know when it sells. That wouldn't have rung true with me. Like I would have been out, right? And so, they want certainty and convenience. And so that's where, if you can speak in terms of certainty and convenience to them, then people are willing to buy what you're selling. It's like tigers playing with hamsters, right? It's like game over. And that's when it just got so easy to understand, okay, give people what they want. And one of the real rules of life is this: you don't give people what you would want, right? Like when I sell my house, I want the most money for it. That's fine. You give people what they want. And I promise you, there's other people that would have had a truck like mine that would have wanted the most money for it. And if you were to say, go to CarMax and just trade it in because it's easy, they would say, Chris, you're crazy. Like, I'm going to sell it on there. Like, you help people get what they want. You don't help people get what you want. And once you can break that free in your mind, then you can do anything in life.
I love it. Now I want to get to some actionable strategies and tactics. So let's get into some scripting. And let's say I've identified an investor wholesaler in my local market. This person does, 20, 30 deals a year, right? They're pretty well to do. What's the scripting? How do you approach them? What's the attitude? What's the energy? Talk to me, Chris.
Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is find out, like, every single one of them has like a name, like, quickie home buyers, easy home buyers, something like that. So what I'm going to do is find out who is the owner of the company, right? And so you can go to the State Board of Incorporation, you can, you look at their website. A lot of the smaller ones, the owner is super, super clear. Like, maybe they have one or two employees, but most of them don't. They're working at the Verizon store and like maxing out their credit card on leads. Like, and I say that as a joke, but like 100% it's true. Like, it's what happens there. And so, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get on Facebook and I'm going to get on Instagram, and I'm going to look them up, and I'm going to find any mutual friends that I have. And I'm just going to call up John Smith and be like, John, hey brother, I saw that Matt Johnson, who runs this wholesaling business. How well do you know him? Oh, we've crossed paths a couple times. Oh, cool. Like, do you know him well enough that you have his phone number? Yeah. I do. We've talked on whatever. Awesome. Would you mind sending us a joint intro text and just saying, hey, this is my friend Chris. He's killing it in real estate right now and doing some really creative stuff. I think you guys should connect. Boom. I'm telling you, the three-way text is golden. It's golden, right? Like, and I learned that from a friend of mine with who was selling, who crushed it in SOI, right? Because like when I was early in real estate, I had so many friends that would be like, hey, I'm going to give, I got a friend, I'm going to give him your number. And I remember, like, I always was like, they almost never called, right? Like, if they give them the number, or if I said, hey, no, just give me their number, then that was like too aggressive and they felt like weird by it. And so I asked my friend, and my friend's like, oh, it's the beauty three-way text. Just say, hey, would you mind sending us a three-way text? That way they can blow me off if they want. If otherwise it's a warm intro so that it's just not super weird. And it was just incredible. Like, all of a sudden we just had so many it was just so great there. Same thing happens with this.
It's brilliant, Chris. Guys, if you took nothing else away from your time with Chris, I want you to take that away, because that is absolutely brilliant. What you're doing is you're borrowing the relational equity that your friend on social has with this individual that you want to form a relationship with. I think it makes total sense. So now you've done this group text, this person edified you, right, and built you up to this investor. It's time for you to have a conversation. What do you say?
Yeah. So the conversation, and Dee Dee asked, what if you don't have a friend? So let's make sure we don't forget that. So what do you say when you're talking to him? So Sean, why don't we just role play?
Yeah, let's start with what if you don't have a friend. Okay, I found this company. They do wholesale deals, 20 to 30 a year. I'm sure that they're being rejected with their cash offers left, right, and center. They've got a bunch of dead leads. What do you say in a cold call format?
Yeah, I mean, and I'll just give you a case study right now. Like let's just pretend. So like I get on every single wholesaler's just Google we buy houses and then put in your city, and you'll get on every single wholesaler's list. Now, most of the ones that you're going to see at the top are nationwide wholesalers. A lot of them are not local because the local ones don't have the money to be top rated in Google. But you will, as you go down the list, you will start getting into the ones that are local. So in the nationwide ones are going to be very difficult to connect with. I just want to let you know that. And if they're doing a lot of business in your area and we get to be buds, I'm friends with most of the people that spend a lot nationwide, and I can make warm intros. For sure. But just cold calling them, that's not going to be worth your time. You're going to want to get the local ones. And so, so what happened? I just got an email, right, from like a random wholesaler just recently. And I scrolled down to the bottom. I normally delete spam, but anytime it's a wholesaler, I always scroll down to the bottom, and I personally send this message, right? I don't do a lot of production myself, but I do a lot of relationship building, right? Because I create the production for my team now. That's the point I've gotten to now because of this system. And so I literally saw the email. I sent an email back and I said, hey, let's just pretend the guy's name was Sean. Hey, Sean, I see you're doing business here. I do a ton of business and I've got a ton of buyers here as well. I'd love to see if there's a way for us to make some money. And plus, I know a ton of the investors here in the area. I found that your net worth is usually equal to your net worth. Would love to just connect and see if we know some mutual friends and see if there's a way for us to make some money together. And literally every single time, not every time, most of the time, I get a response back, and I say, okay, cool, pop me your number. When's a good time? And then we set up a time to get on a call, right? So that's how that works now for like people if you're on their email address or email contact. Now, when we get on a call, this is exactly how it goes. Like, let's role play it, Sean.
Please. Hi, this is Sean.
Sean, hey, this is Chris Craddock. We connected on email. How you doing, brother?
Hey, fantastic, Chris. How are you?
I'm doing great, doing great. Hey, I saw that you're doing some you're doing some investment deals here in the DMV area, and yeah, just wanted to connect with you and see if there's a way that we could do some business together. Yeah, what does your business look like?
Yeah, we do a lot of lead generation, looking for individuals who would be open-minded to an offer, just need quick cash, as is type sales. The old "we buy ugly houses" concept. That's us. That's what we do.
Yeah, are you mainly taking down house? And you guys may know this, but when you call it taking down a house, it means buying it to flip. Are you mainly taking down houses, or are you mainly wholesaling or doing novations?
Yeah, mainly take down and flip.
Okay, awesome, awesome. How many deals did you do last year?
We did 32.
Dang, that's a good number, man. That's
Yeah,
great.
we're
That's
busy,
great.
dude.
Well, and just out of curiosity, like is your main lead source, like, are you mainly doing PPC? Are you mainly doing like pay per lead? Like, what are you mainly doing for your lead sources?
Yeah, we get the notice of default list, and man, we just a lot of cranking it out, grinding it out on the phone, just skip tracing contact info, finding that person who's open-minded to get a cash offer and a quick close.
Old school. I love it, man.
Yes,
Like going, putting into work. I'll tell you, not many people do that. Most people are paying for their leads. Um, most people are paying for their leads these days. So yeah, or at least paying to get the phone to ring. So that's awesome. Well, listen, we do a bunch of transactions. I work with a lot of investors, and if you're like with wholesalers, a lot of times we're able to bring buyers that'll pay a little bit better than what a typical wholesaler buyer pays. But if you're doing fix and flip stuff, I'm curious, if you're not able to take a property down, what are you doing with the leads that maybe want like full market value?
Oh, yeah, we're just on to the next, Chris.
Okay, cool. And a lot of times people will say, this is the script that they all get together and share their script. This is the script that they all share. It's we just follow up until they tell us no. But we oftentimes get people that have been in our database for years. Well, let me just say this. If you know anything about leads and real estate, you know that people don't actually follow up. They just say that. It's not true. They don't follow up. So just know, even though you smile and nod and pretend like, what they're saying is true, also know, the reality is they don't really follow up. Cool. Well, yeah, I'm curious. So there's some other folks in our network, and that's what you can say as you're a part of the network we're building here. There's some other folks in our network, they're sending just massive amounts of referral fees for people that are wanting close to retail value. And so what we're seeing is, if 20 people raise their hand and say, and say, hey, I'd like to sell my house in the next 6 months. Maybe 4 of them are wanting to sell at an extreme discount because they've got some sort of pain and motivation. And of the 4, usually you'll buy 1 to fix and flip. Are you seeing, like, that's what we've seen nationwide as kind of the numbers when you out of 20? Is that something that you're kind of seeing? Is that bearing out for you?
I haven't checked into the numbers, but that feels about right, Chris.
Yeah. So what I've learned is, like, with that, there's 19 people that are getting paid when the other 20 houses are selling, but none of the 19 are you. And what I've figured out how to do is make sure that you're making money on this too. And so what we do is we create a system where we're able to monetize those dead leads, and essentially send back in referral fees to you, so that you basically could end up paying for all of your marketing, so that it just changes, like, the whole game if your marketing was zero based.
No doubt. So when you first started doing this, Chris, what was your target and what did you accomplish?
So can you rephrase that?
Yeah, meaning, okay, so I'm going to start calling investors to get their dead leads. What was your target in terms of the number of leads that you'd generate, and what was the percentage of close? I mean, how many did you close?
Well, the goal was, for you're talking about the leads or the investors?
Yeah, well, leads from the investors. Because
Okay.
I remember in one of our first coaching sessions, you said,
Yeah.
when I first started doing this, my target was to get 100 leads inside of blank amount of time. Tell me about
Yes.
that.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, my goal would be, for everybody here, anybody that's working on this, is that in the first month, or sorry, and actually, really, it should be in the first 2 weeks. But if we were to give the first month, but the first 2 weeks, you get 100 leads. With 100 leads, you should be able to set at minimum of 30 appointments. And of the 30 appointments, you're going to close somewhere between 25 and 62% met to close, met to signed ratio. And so that's where you need to be. That's what we've seen as the best folks do it. If you're below 25%, your scripting isn't working. If you're not getting enough appointments, you're talking like an agent. So here's one of the things that you need to do to make sure that you get the appointment. Coming over to do a listing presentation is not going to be compelling at all, but coming over to be a valuation expert and get a cash offer for them is going to be compelling. And a lot of people are like, well, I can't give a cash offer. So Sean, this phone right here, right? It's got a terabyte of data, an iPhone, it's last year's model, but it's, like, I think I paid like almost $2,000 for it, right? If I were to say to you, hey, Sean, this phone works great, I'm gonna buy another phone, will you buy it for $25? What would you say?
Yeah, absolutely. Sure.
Why?
It's just, I have a perception of value there, and who knows, I might lose mine and I just need a backup.
Right. So you win when you buy, right? So here's the whole thing, is like, every single person on here, you are a buyer. And I promise you, there is a price for every single house that you go to that you would pay for. Like 100%, like 1,000%. There is a price, right? That $400,000 house, if they said, hey, I'll sell it for 100,000, you need to find a way to buy it, right? Like, some of you guys will say, oh, I'll get an investor and they'll pay me 3% of 100,000. And I'll say, you're stepping over dollars to pick up pennies. Understand this. Like there are opportunities here, right? So you win when you buy. That's one of the keys to wealth building in the world. And so there is a price that you will be a buyer at for any house you go and see, right? The second thing is, you need to create a buyer's list of buyers that will pay more for a property than the average, like, flipper, right? Because we all get the calls from flippers that are like, can you help me find a house? I want to pay $150,000 for it, and it needs to be worth, like, after I put 10,000 into it, like 650,000. And you're like, yeah, no, we're not going to do that. You're a waste of time, and goodbye. But honestly, when I was early in my career, I always thought these were great calls, because I'm like, oh, I can find deals, and I can make deals happen. It's a waste of time. If you want to find great buyers, here's a tool to find buyers that will buy these properties from you all over the place. Go to find out when the auctions are at all of the different counties near you. And let me tell you about the psychology of auction buyers. These are people that buy houses sight unseen. These are people that buy typically at small margins, right? It used to be that you could buy, like you'd hear stories about people buying at courthouse steps at like massive margins. Not anymore. They buy at very small margins and they win because they buy a lot of stuff. Or they're newer investors that are saying, okay, I'm going to buy at auction and get a great deal on something. And then you meet somebody that is investment minded about real estate that you can coach and teach and help. And then you're getting commissions on those as well. So those are things that, will really help.
Chris, I could talk to you all day long about this. I do want to tell them how they can get access to more. Okay, first and foremost, guys, if you happen to be in the state of Texas and or Florida, I want you to go to iconcoaching.com. Go ahead and register for Sales Surge right now. It's live training in person. We got some great speakers lined up, some great keynotes, even panels from top producing agents, luxury panels, things of that nature. Really want you to get in the same physical space with us and really just learn together. Now, in addition to that, I had put this up on the screen before, right? Are you a dream believer or a dream buyer? Every dream you have comes with a price tag. Are you willing to pay the price? Like Leigh Brown, by the way. Leigh is one of the top agents over at Remax. I mean, she is so into educating herself through webinars like this and or training programs. And she didn't get there by accident, right? She was on purpose because your business grows to the extent that you personally do. So Chris came up with a program called Distressed $2, guys. Now stay with me here. This program is $2,997. Now stay with me though, because we're going to offer some big time discounts today. I'm going to throw in my 20-point buyer presentation, my listing presentation. You're going to get unrestricted access to the Icon Coaches library, okay? Total value, $4,592. Now, here's what we're going to do. We're going to substantially discount this for you because you made the decision to show up today. See, first you make the choice, then the choice makes you. So the bottom line is, it's 4 sessions. They're 1 hour in duration. There will be a workbook for every session and assignments between sessions, guys, that when you do this, I wouldn't be shocked if you didn't net over $100,000 just from this one strategy, over the next 12 months. So Distressed $2, our graduates are undoubtedly improving their life, their lifestyle, and their bank account balance. So I really want you to plug into this. Now, what if we just brought the price way, way down? I'm going to get through this super fast. To $2,497. Oh, wait, there's more. Again, the sessions, they start on June 12th. Then we're going to go June 19th. We'll have a 2-week break for implementation. And the difference between extraordinary success and below average results, guys, it's speed of implementation. So we'll give you a couple of weeks. By the way, it just so happens that the July 4th holiday falls during that 2-week implementation break. We come back on July 10th. And then we graduate the program on July 17th. And Chris, let me just ask, what if they had to miss one of those sessions? I'm taking a family vacation. I'm going to be gone on June 17th or whatever. What happens?
Yeah, we're going to record them. Yeah. So you can watch the recordings. The recordings will be available, I think, for a few months after the session or after the last session. So yeah, you can go back over them, over and over again. And yeah.
Okay. Now, what if I'm not a realtor? Because we get several people who reached out to me directly and said, hey, Sean, I'm not in real estate, but I want to learn how to be an investor. Are they welcome as well?
Sure. Absolutely.
Okay. Should I wait until next time to take it? Here's the bottom line. We don't know if there's a next time, right? We've got Chris, and guys, I would do it if I were you. So who should take this course, Chris?
Yeah. I mean, I think anybody that was like I was, right? Like anybody that was trying to figure out sustainable, predictable income, right? I also had a cap in my income, and literally I went from that cap to making like well over 7 figures, very, very quickly through it. Now that's not going to happen for everybody. Some people are going to implement and some people aren't. But you know, the crazy thing is, this is an opportunity that is just, the path is clear. If I can do it, you definitely can do it as well.
Yeah. Chris, would you offer a money back guarantee?
Sure. I mean, yeah, if you follow the system, like the bottom line is like what we're looking at here, the average flip, the average wholesale is like, you know, you make $40,000 to $50,000. Like this crazy. The average commission in America, this is like it's 10% of is less than 10% of the average commission in America. And like legitimately, this is I mean, yeah, if you follow the plan, it's like it's crazy. It works. It works.
It works. So attend all 4 sessions, do the assignments between sessions. Guys, if you're not, just overwhelmed with the amount of business that you're doing, then Chris will offer a money back guarantee. And today and today only, guys, you can invest in yourself, in your business. I mean, who better to invest in $1,997 and get a profound return on that investment, guys, because this knowledge, this skill that Chris is going to give to you, guys, nobody can take that away from you. It impacts your
Sean,
knowledge, your skills, your mindset, your foundation, right? To get a rock solid foundation, you can build your business as big as you want to build it. Chris, go ahead.
here's one thing that I'll also offer anybody that signs up after the 4th session. I'll do a business evaluation with you, one-on-one business evaluation, and you know, just so you know, I do some one-on-one coaching, and it's usually $1,000 a session, and for a half an hour session. And so I'm happy to do that. Look at your business, say, hey, these are some areas I would tweak. This is what I do different. And so, yeah, anybody signs up, I'll do a session with you.
Chris, just that and that alone is worth the $1,997. So, guys, whatever it takes, pull the money together, get engaged with Chris. I would never, ever in my lifetime recommend you do something that is not going to give you a significant return on your investment. I believe in Chris, guys. I know it inside and out because I coach Chris and his organization. And I got to tell you, he's got some big time rock stars that will also be part and parcel to this program. They're going to present to you from their department's perspective to show what are the targets, what are the expectations, what are the goals. And when you get your mind around this, guys, you can be just like Chris. I mean, improve your net income, improve your lifestyle. I think you deserve it. I think your family deserves it. There's no doubt about that. So, guys, let's take advantage of that. Dave, would you mind posting the link to the chat, please? And maybe you already have. Yep. There's the live sales surge. And we've got Chris Craddock's program, Distress to Dollars. So the links are there, guys. Now it's up to you. Now, if you're avoiding the pain of actually engaging in a course to improve yourself, what you're really avoiding is your growth. And remember that your business and your production, your bank account, it's going to grow to the extent that you personally grow. So, guys, I throw caution to the wind. I would invest today. I would do it right now. And let's put Chris to work. Okay. All right, Chris, thank you so much. And again, I could talk to you all day about this stuff, yet we do need to let these guys get on with their busy days and weeks ahead. Guys, if you have any questions, concerns, challenges, just you can email me at Sean, SHON, at iconcoaching.com.
Hey,
I'll get
Sean,
right back to you.
so like in the 4 weeks, I'll just let you know as well, like what we're going to talk about, you know, how, like, literally dive in. You know, we don't have enough time to get into how to meet all the wholesalers, all the investors, right? We'll dive into that. We'll dive into how, like, who I use, all of my personal you know, all the companies we use personally to market to directly to sellers as well. So like, I'm just going to give you my playbook. This is who we use. These are the companies, these are the vendors we use. And these are the ones I would start with. And these are the ones that I would go to as you make more money. And then just, go through all of that. I'll also have my staff jump on and show some of the stuff we use to implement, as far as like who we use for our email drip campaigns, who we use for our texting drip campaigns, all of the different pieces there. So all of it, like, I'm just going to give you my whole business in a box for what we do. And like, we've we have definitely painfully gone through each of the different iterations to get to where we are now, and we've learned how to do that. So definitely would love to compress all that time to make it a shorter time for you to be able to do that.
So you have an opportunity to buy a Lambo, as Chris was talking about earlier, and somebody who's going to teach you how to drive it aggressively. Guys, this is step by step. The trail has been blazed. The stepping stones are in place. And if you follow Chris's system, we're guaranteeing you a return on your investment, guaranteed. And frankly, if you attend all 4 sessions, do the assignments, for any reason, we'll give you a full refund. You have nothing to lose, nothing at all. Guys, I'd do it if I were you. I really would. Talk to you all soon. Chris, thank you so much for your time, buddy. And if you have any questions, just email me directly, Sean@iconcoaching.com. Thank you all for being here. We do this every single Tuesday. So until we get to talk again next time, just be on purpose, be productive, and always be powerful. Talk to you all soon. Thanks again, Chris.